Oulton Park. It's the second round of the 2014 MCE British Superbike Championship. We're all ready for a start here in race one. There is Josh Brooks, who starts from the front row of the grid after being beaten to pole position yesterday by Shane Byrne. I'm reliably told, James and Jack, that Richard Cooper finished 5th at Mallory Park in a wildcard ride back in 2009. So that set the record straight for you, Jack. I know you were worried about that one. Let's go racing.
It was 1959 when British Superbike motor racing first arrived here at Oulton Park. It was the 10th year of British ACU Championship motorcycle racing, and it was the first time it had headed north and arrived here at Oulton Park. The pre-race favourite was one Mike Halewood, and would you believe he was beaten by an Australian outsider called Bob Brown. I just wondered if it was an omen for Josh Brooks versus Shaky Byrne.
I'll tell you what, every day's a school day with you, isn't it, Jack?
I'm afraid so, James, but you're getting used to it after all these years. The wonderful thing is how much I learned from you as well. MCE British Superbike Championship in association with Pirelli. Shaky Byrne, the Rapid Solicitors Kawasaki, leads it on 50 points ahead of James Ellison on 32. Chris Walker on the second of the Lloyd's British GB Motor Kawasaki's on 31. Josh Brooks, Milwaukee Yamaha, level with Stuart Easton on 21, point ahead of Ben Wilson on 19. Tommy Bridewell is 7th on 16, level with John Hopkins. James Westmoreland and Yuichi Kianari's build-based BMWs are 9th and 10th ahead of Dan Linfoot. Richard Cooper, Martin Jessup, Jakob Smertz, Michael Rutter, Patrick Muff, Harry Hartley with those 3 points for Halsall Biker Gear Kawasaki, and Australian Josh Waters. The first man on the grid, pole position for Shane Byrne, ahead of Josh Brooks and James Ellison. Second row of the grid, headed by Byrne's teammate Stuart Easton. Then Quattro Plant Kawasaki's Dan Linfoot, Milwaukee Yamaha's Tommy Bridewell. Yuichi Kianari, 10 times a race winner here. Heads row 3 from Richard Cooper on the Anvil Higher Tag Kawasaki and Chris Walker. The fourth row of the grid, Kuba Smertz on the Millsport Ducati, Keith Farmer on the PR Racing Kawasaki, and the Qingdao WK Kawasaki of John Kirkham. Behind them, we've got John Hopkins, Michael Rutter, and Josh Waters, and then James Westland, Martin Jessup, and Patrick Muff. There is Paul Bird alongside former racer Scott Smart. The red flag is up. And when it goes down, of course, we'll be ready to go with 18 laps round this unforgiving Cheshire course. The start's so vital. Brooks bang in the middle of the picture, and Byrne to the right, to the left, the green helmet of James Ellison. The lights go out, and then thousands of horsepower hit the deck, and Shaky Byrne gets a brilliant start on the Rapid Solicitors Kawasaki and dives into the lead with Brooks holding off James Ellison's attempt to get underneath him. Whoa, big moments. Oh no! And a collision going down the hill towards Cascades. Wowee! Now that biker's gone a burn. Was that the Halsall Racing Kawasaki?
I think no, it's white leathers. That's James Westmoreland, number 27, just about getting away with that.
It might have been not Simon Andrews.
Could have been Simon.
He's had some huge pranks in the last couple of years, that boy.
I can't say anything other than a red flag. It's got to be safety car at least, Jack, because there was so much debris and... Yep, it's Honda. Yep, it's definitely Honda.
So as the lads, they're on the first lap, the safety car is straight out, so Shaky Byrne, it is Simon Andrews, the Worcestershireman, thankfully in one piece, because he's taken some fearful accidents in the last couple of years.
He has, and you know, just off the start, when everybody's together, there's lots of bikes squeezed into the... I mean, look at that, we're looking at the debris, and that's mostly earth and bits of grass, plus bike debris, but that's going to take a little bit of cleaning up. Yeah, when everybody's bunched together, and you're not necessarily thinking about who's around you, Jack. You know, you're trying to just get a good position, get forward, and things happen. You just haven't got any time to react.
In 2011, of course, he had that... Simon Andrews suffered that huge smash at Snetterton when oil was dropped on the track. Here we go. Yep. See what happens into turn one and out of it, more
certainly Westmoreland, number 27, got involved and shot on the grass, which worried me slightly because... let's have a look. It all starts with... That could be Keogh. I think that was Keogh who got a slide, who kind of kicked all that off. Yeah, Simon's lucky. he's really lucky, as is Westmoreland. You get on the grass at sort of 100 miles an hour, you haven't got a lot of control because you're not a lot of grip with slicks on grass. So that's quite a fortunate thing, that. They're all up, they're all right. That could have been a lot worse than that, Jack.
Simon actually slid fairly comfortably onto the grass, out of everybody's way, which was the main thing.
Circuits are safe now, and you're unlikely to hit any trackside furniture. So if you can avoid your own bike hitting you, or anybody else's bike hitting you, then you've a good chance of getting away with it. Whether
does anybody have a giant brush? You need a brush about 16 feet wide.
Yeah, you know what they're called? In Yorkshire, those are called bonus brushes.
Bring out the bonus brush. So we've got Shaky Byrne, Josh Brooks, James Ellison, the men off the front row of the grid, currently at the front behind the safety car. Stuart Easton is 4th, Chris Walker 5th, Dan Linfoot in 6th, Tommy Bridewell 7th, Richard Cooper, where he qualified in 8th, ahead of Jakob Smertz and Yuichi Kianari. Then Josh Waters 11th for Taiko Suzuki, ahead of Michael Rutter, Keith Farmer and John Hopkins.
What the riders are doing now, trying to keep a little bit of heat in the tyre. There's obviously a little bit of, it's not fluid. I thought they were tipping some powder on fluid, but they're not. They're actually picking up the bigger bits straight into a bucket, look. So there does look like there could be a bit of fluid down there as well, look. So that might take a bit more cleaning up. However, if they can do this under safety car conditions, that's going to be a good thing. And this is the safety car system is a good thing. Not only does it mean that the marshals can get to the incident and the debris and the oil quick and clean it up under really safely, it also means that the riders every lap have a little bit of time under a lot safer conditions than going racing to see where the spillage is, where the dust is going to be, and where the debris has been.
Through Deer Leap then to complete another lap here, lapping at the moment. Would you believe it? You see the car at the front there, and it looks to be trying quite hard. But they're lapping at 1 minute 58 seconds. That's 20 seconds, more than 20 seconds off the lap record pace.
Yeah, the safety car is pretty much about the fastest road car you can get. Lots and lots of horsepower, really quick. But when you compare that to a bike that weighs 165 kilograms and produces 210 brake horsepower, there is no comparison.
And I know from going round in the safety car in the passenger seat that it makes me car sick, mate. It is tramping. Shaky Byrne is currently leading this race, but at a steady pace. We're on the 3rd lap of 18. The pace car is out. Josh Brooks, his potential nearest rival, you can see the Australian flags floating in the distance there, is currently in 2nd place for Milwaukee Yamaha. James Ellison, a former Milwaukee Yamaha rider, bike number 77, Lloyd's British GB Moto Kawasaki running 3rd.
Yeah, when we talked about the bikes, we've got a little bit of time now. I might as well go on with that. These things, 200 brake horsepower for 200 kilos would obviously be 1,000 horsepower per ton. So power to weight, there's absolutely nothing to touch these things, with the possible exception of a MotoGP bike. Apart from that, there is absolutely nothing. These things will go with the right gearing on, because you gear for the circuit that you're at, obviously. But these things will go from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds and 0 to 100 in a tad over 3.
We had a glimpse there of John Hopper Hopkins, number 21, glancing around him. There he is on the Taiko Suzuki. Hopper making his return to the championship, you know, so nearly won in 2011. Shaky Byrne then leading them round. There is Hopkins, bang in the middle of the picture, behind Keith Farmer, the Ulsterman, and just ahead of John Kirkham. Incidentally, can we wish all the best to, we're missing one of our local boys. Howie Mainwaring broke his shoulder in pre-season testing at Snetterton, and the shoulder's got infected rather unpleasantly. So Howie's hoping to be back at Snetterton in about 6 weeks' time for the 3rd round of the MCE Insurance British Superbike Series. So Howie Mainwaring Smart, all the best, dear boy. Hope you're improving.
You see that the marshals can get off the track. They'll be warned by radio that the car's coming. They're actually, the tyres screeching around Old Corner anyway. They get off the track, then as soon as the pack's passed, they can get back on. And it looks like they've virtually got that situation kind of cleaned up down now. And right.
The safety car coming in this lap, so it looks like they've virtually got everything tidied up. The safety car coming in on this lap. Incidentally, checking back outside that top 15 or so, we've got Ben Wilson, Martin Jessup, Patrick Muff, Jenny Tinmouth, local girl, the lady from Ellesmere Port, is there in 19th place in that queue, just ahead of multiple TT winner Ian Hutchinson. And behind him, there is Jenny, number 20.
Yeah,
she looks great in all black, doesn't she?
But any chaps out there to do a few track days and think that where she qualifies and finishes isn't impressive, you've no idea.
These lads, look at that. Michael Rutter's let a bit of a gap open up in front of him, James, in 12th place. So I thought that you wanted to keep those gaps down. You can see that Josh Brooks is very keen to stay close to Shaky Byrne.
Now then, when the safety car comes in, we're back to racing. However, you're not allowed to pass anybody. You can have a strategy. You can be as close and as far back as you want. The leader, in this case, Shane Byrne, has the kind of opportunity to get the race back underway the way he wants to. But you can't pass anybody till they go over the start and finish, which in this case is very close to where the car will come in.
So the car will come in, and Shaky Byrne ignites the Kawasaki onto the start and finish straight, absolutely neck and neck with Josh Brooks, with James Ellison looking to surprise Brooks, and he does. An absolute replica of David Johnson's move in the Superstock 1000 Championship race. He launches through to second place and takes him back. They go. So Brooks has already been slightly cut adrift from his attempts to cling on to Shane Byrne.
Yeah, Brooks a big loser there. He didn't need that. Nice sauce. Yeah, Walker as well tried to have a look at Island Bend under Brooks, doesn't make it. It's a brave pace to go past him and superbike out. I'll tell you.
And dropping now into Brooks with that very, very tight line that he takes, skimming the curb through Shell Oils.
There's two lines at Shell Oils. You either drop it in tight, run it wide mid-corner, cut it back, or you, like Ellison, or you stay tight on the inside like Brooks.
There's number 4, a good start by Linford as well, running right behind Walker, and is riding, of course, from his previous team, Quattro Kawasaki. And there was a bit of a move being made down the hill in the crowd there in the middle of the pack. Oh, look at Cooper. Cooper just swoops round the outside, I think, of Bridewell. And but he lost it on the drive up Clay Hill. You need to get the drive up Clay Hill as well. And I think Tommy Reed took that position up Clay Hill. There is Bridewell just behind Stuart Easton, just in front of Nottingham's very own Richard Cooper. He's got two very, very tiny lads, fore and aft.
Well, he's little himself, isn't he?
Tommy's not that small, but those two, oh, look at this. It's very, very crowded as they jostle for positions there through Dearly to complete their 5th lap.
And it's Ellison now, you know who's going with that. He's been quick all week as Ellison, I've got to say.
You wouldn't think he was riding with a cracked pelvis on the left side. Really impressive for James Ellison. And they're then moving slightly clear of Josh Brooks, who, as his crew chief Mick Shanley was pointing out to me, is still in very early days on a brand new bike. He's still getting used to this bike at the moment, and the fact that you have to ride the Yamaha a bit more smoothly. You can't kind of wring its neck in the way that he did with the Suzuki last year.
Yeah, the Yamaha's a strange bike setup wise, in that it seems to really suit some riders and really suit some circuits, but you don't ever seem to get a benchmark where it's sort of average everywhere.
Byrne leading the way then, Ellison in second place, and Walker hounding,
clinging on,
really hounding Josh Brooks there. And Walker at the track he won at 2 years ago, admittedly in damp conditions, he was really absolutely peaking before this race, really looking forward to it, couldn't wait to get out on track.
Yeah, we see Brooks, that's number 9, Walker on his beloved Kawasaki, always seemed to have had his best results, and seems to spend most of his career on Kawasaki, really.
The gap has opened up behind him, but Dan Linfoot running strongly for Quattro Plant Kawasaki ahead of Easton, Bridewell, Cooper, Smertz on the Ducati, and Chianari's build-based BMW.
We talked about Walker, and you know what I love about him is as he gets a little slide there coming out of Druids, it's his honesty. He says, oh yeah, these things are scary around here now. The top yoke's hitting you in the face every time it goes over a bump, the thing's trying to wheelie. Yeah, we're looking at Bridewell still got company.
I think Easton has, of course, has sneaked through as well. So Easton making a little bit of progress there, has got clear track ahead of him, Linfoot behind him, and then Bridewell sat right in his slipstream with Richard Cooper. Cooperman, remember, James, 5th as a wild card at Mallory Park in 2009 on a Yamaha. He has proved fleetingly that he couldn't ride a superbike.
I'm still impressed with him, and I tell you, even on the grid, when I was saying that, he was really impressed with your first few times on a superbike. I knew you'd be saying, he's ridden one before. He's ridden one before. I knew that was going to happen, Jack. Don't worry.
At least I haven't had the chalkboard out. Byrne has a set a fastest lap of the race, 1:35.80. I said 1:35.804.
They're still just getting wound up, really. They're not terribly quick lap times yet.
Oh, and he locked the brake momentarily, dropping down there to his chicane. He's feeling the pressure from that man, Ellison. And also Brooks is kind of regrouping as well.
It needs to do. I heard it. I heard that.
Walker's gone down, and that's... Oh, Chris.
Yep, you hear the scraping.
So well. At a track, of course, where it's not quite the same bend, but up at the top of that hill at Druids, I remember him breaking his kneecap when he came off there, years ago in his first series of assaults on the British Superbike Championship. Now, 4 reduced to 3 at the front.
It looked like he's lost the front. We couldn't see how it happened, but here comes Bridle up the inside of Cooper.
So that's a response, because Richard has got him somewhere in that lap.
Chris Walker, there's a little bit of a bump on the last right of that complex down there at Knickerbrook, and I think it looks like he's lost the front. If he'd have high-sided out of there, the bike would have been going over and over.
Richard Cooper, who turned 31 in March, he did. He's another of those baby-faced eternal youths that you can't quite believe, but yeah, he did indeed. And he's giving Kianari's obviously thinking, who is this lad just ahead of me? I've never seen him around before.
Isn't that the man who delivered a parcel to my house last week?
Byrne, Ellison, Brooks. Brooks beginning to recover his speed. If he gets relaxed and into the rhythm he needs with the Yamaha, then he might be able to tackle the Kawasaki's.
And that's the key to it around here, Jack. You just need rhythm and a little bit of confidence. The trouble is, these things now with over 200 horsepower, it's such a kind of physical track. It's difficult to find a rhythm and a comfortable kind of run round. These are, I keep saying it, but these are flaysome things around here. It really is. The circuits don't change, the bikes do. They get more grip, they get more power, and that means they're physically harder to ride.
Behind that group, incidentally, Stuart Easton has squeezed through into 4th place. So Easton now runs 4th ahead of Linfoot. This is the batch. There is Easton on the second Rapid Solicitors bike. Then number 4, Dan Linfoot, right behind him, hounding him. Tommy Bridewell on the second Milwaukee bike. And then Richard Cooper and Yuichi Kianari.
The fastest man on track last lap was Brooks. Again, they're not super quick times yet. A lot of it's dependent on grip, and a lot of that is dependent on temperature. And it's definitely colder than it was yesterday.
It's chilled down since this morning when they were very quick in warm-up. There is Bridewell backing in. Here comes Kianari inside Richard Cooper. And Cooper hasn't got any answer to that. The build-based BMW goes through. And then that Jakob Smertz is just there at the back of them on the Ducati Panigale.
That Jakob Smertz. As opposed to another Jakob Smertz.
No, that one. The very one, Kuba, as he's known to his friends. I said to him when we were watching MotoGP yesterday, do you ever fancy going back into this paddock? And he thought for a moment. He said, no. I've had my time there.
Kuba was a fantastic 250 man.
Best 250 GP privateer.
Yes, yeah.
For several years.
And really, he'd ride his out at the time. He was a little bit lighter. Really suited 250. Big corner speed.
And there is Smertz, look, and he looks to me, his last lap was his quickest 36.9, so he's putting in consistently good times on the Millsport Ducati, which is good to see it running inside the top 10. This is Kianari now beginning to put a bit of pressure on Dan Linfoot. This is where Linny needs his mental strength and confidence and keep it up and buoyant throughout this 18-lap race. We're only just approaching half distance now.
Weatherby versus Japan. Very similar places, actually. You know.
Oh, what you mean by Saitama, Northern Tokyo versus Weatherby?
I thought it was Tokyo. Yeah, he's having a look.
Oh, he had a big weave on, hard on the brakes there, going into Lodge corner.
The problem going on at Lodge, which is possibly the best overtaking position.
He got great drive out of here though, James, and he's surely going to.
Oh, is that Keith Farmer? Is that Keith Farmer?
It might have been Keith Farmer who's off the PR Racing Kawasaki as we drop down the hill.
Yeah, it is Farmer.
Oh, look at this, Tommy Bridewell getting a big pardon. I'm behind myself. It's Brooks getting level with the Cumbrian James Ellison.
Do you know, that between Cascades and Island Bend, there is a little bit of an opportunity to pass, but you're going so fast on these things now. They jump out of the corner, and so you're going so fast. To get under somebody going into Island, it's just heart in the mouth stuff. It really is, for both people.
On the 10th lap of 18, Shaky Byrne, James Ellison, Josh Brooks at the front. We've lost Chris Walker. Stuart Easton runs 4th ahead of Tommy Bridewell, Dan Linfoot, Yuichi Kianari, Richard Cooper, Jakob Smertz and John Hopkins has pushed through into 10th place for Taiko Suzuki. The American ahead of Michael Rutter, John Kirkham, Ben Wilson, Josh Waters.
I'm impressed with Ellison here. He likes it here. He's won round here before, but this is good. He's obviously clicked with the Kawasaki, and he looks good on it. He does. At his best, when he looks his smoothest, is James Ellison.
And he's certainly looking smooth today.
Yeah.
This is the battle going on because Bridewell is beginning to put the heat on Stuart Easton now. There is Jakob Smertz behind him. We've got John Hopkins, Hopper ahead of Michael Rutter, who is being hounded now by John Kirkham, who has seen his Superstock 1000 lap record smashed in the previous race. Cooper inside Linfoot.
Yeah, there's some harm to Linfoot. He's dropped back.
Linfoot must have made a mistake
and gone back.
He's instantly recovered, but he's dropped right back behind Easton and Bridewell. And Keogh having a good race, pressing hard on the build-based BMW. Here are the two surprise packages from qualifying, and here is Brooks pressing Ellison.
Yeah, what you want to do there, you see that Brooks is on the inside, stays on the inside, and Ellison has that kind of more sweepy line mid-corner, turning it back to a late apex. But what you're trying to do into that hairpin, you go around Ireland, run it a little bit faster, a little bit wider to the right, and then block pass up the inside into the hairpin, but it is difficult to do. You've got to get your brakes on and try and get it pulled up for the hairpin while you're still slightly cranked over.
Dropping down the hill here, Keogh's beginning to look really menacing. Whoa!
Is that Ellison?
Might be
Ellison's made a big mistake there.
I think James Ellison has dropped clean off the track. He's rejoined from the grass, still in one piece, securely in 3rd place, but at least he's left a bit of open track now. Can Brooks do anything about Shaky Byrne?
What's he done? Oh, he's just gone in too hot and decided better of it.
I suppose if you have a cracked pelvis, James, you don't want to be falling down on it, do you? So he suddenly thought, I'd better just take to the grass here. Here comes Bridewell. Bridewell outbreaking Easton. Contrasting styles there. So Tommy Bridewell moves through into 4th place. It's now Bridewell, Easton, Kianari, with Kianari keen to line up the little Scotsman. Now we've got Hoik versus Northern Tokyo.
Saitama. It is. Have you been to Saitama?
Never.
I've been to Tokyo. Nice place.
Linfoot, Cooper, Smertz, Hopkins still round out the top 10. This is the battle going on for 4th place. And valuable points, of course. Look at this. Oh, look at this little Scotsman thinking about tickling back underneath there.
Thinking about it there and doing it there is two different things. And he's fairly circumspect, is Easton. You know, Easton's one of those riders that you know he isn't going to stitch you up. He isn't going to run you wide. If it's a pass, it's going to be a clean one.
Yes. But he's such a flyweight little lad. You can almost see the way that the Kawasaki bounds out of corners with him on board. And this is a surprisingly steep uphill before they reach the crest there, and then the long dive down to the Hizzy chicane.
Can you imagine when I first started racing, you came out of that Shellhorse hairpin and then just went flat out. There was no chicane at the top, and it was brilliant, really was. I mean, scary, but
I still wish it was like that. I think that was a lovely piece of track.
You weren't on one of these things. I wasn't riding one of these.
You're fast enough coming down that hill as it is. Yep. And look at that, Kianari, the 3-time Superbike champion. He's had double race wins here in 2005, again in 2006. Still holds the lap record for 2006. And here he is alongside. That'll work nicely into Lodge Corner. He moves through into 5th place. Yeah, Keogh's on the move.
If there's any circuit in the country that Keogh had a shot at looking impressive, it would be this place. He's gone so well in the past, like you say.
It's a tribute to how these bikes have developed, and indeed the tyres with them, that Keogh, of course, was on the factory Honda and factory Michelin tyres when he set that lap record. But it was, let's face it, 8 years ago.
Yes, it was, yeah, and still stands. Obviously, the lap record has to be set in a race, not in practice.
Do you know what? was just going to say, that BMW was looking very settled.
Did you see? He went to the inside. He was moving from side to side as he hit that big roller going into Ireland, and that's what upset the bike, and that's a big wide line. That's a mistake from Easton.
I think he might have been a bit perturbed by what Keogh was up to in front of him.
As
just
you would
then. Two-thirds race distance completed. Byrne, Brooks, Ellison, Bridewell, Chianari, Easton, Cooper, Linfoot. This the battle going on, and now it's Cooper who has got past Dan Linfoot into 7th place.
Both Kawasaki mounted. Easton, just even at this speed, it looks like he's touring. It's that
really
smooth.
did then, yeah. Up the hill, this is a fabulous place to go and watch them. Their front wheels pawing the air as they come over the top. 170 miles per hour as they peak the top of the hill. And Josh Brooks not able to make any inroads on Shaky Byrne, who was about 0.3 of a second quicker on the last lap. Chianari will once again try and move inside Bridewell, and he does so ruthlessly at Lodge Corner. What a clean pass. The BMW through to 4th place.
Good run from Keogh, this.
Yuichi Chianari, always just disarmingly honest in everything he has to say about his riding, even about the fact that when his dad first insisted he went racing motocross, he didn't like it, he was frightened, he hated it.
But then, do you know that's what kind of bloke he is? He looks a little bit fit and feels like a nervous kind of bloke, you know, so you can never tell.
What he's achieved is all the more remarkable, although he did say when he got taken, he was the first pupil ever at the Suzuka Racing School in Japan, and as soon as he got onto tarmac he loved it, and he met all sorts of friends from all sorts of different parts of Japan, and his life was transformed.
And I've always said this, you can never tell. You can meet somebody in the paddock like Jim Moody, who was a fantastic racer, and you know he's going to be hard. He'd fight in a pub, no problem. He's just an hard lad. But then you speak to others that are just softly spoken, and you'd think their hobby would be maybe stamp collecting or, you know, touring with a caravan. But
we're looking at several of them right now, with Chianari, looking at Stuart Easton, looking at Dan Linfoot.
They put an helmet on, put the visor down, and they're a flipping lunatic.
And another one, James Westmoreland, Chianari's teammate, has managed to pick his way through to 12th place, so he's recovering after that alarming start to his race.
Yeah, and I feel a bit sorry for James Westmoreland, number 27, because he shouldn't really qualify that badly. Had a lot of issues with the bike. It stopped on him, and he should have been starting from 2nd or 3rd row for me.
John Hopkins has been demoted by Kirkham. Kirkham's on the move a bit, and just coming up now, I think Kirkham's beginning to throw. Oh, Hopkins touring on the Taiko Suzuki. The Taiko Suzuki has a problem on the 15th of 18 laps, and the California is cruising on the Taiko Suzuki. What a shame. He was into 10th place, but he's now, of course, dropping back. So Westmoreland moves 11th, Rutter into 12th. 135.644, 135.644, and within a 10th of a second of the lap record. Yeah. Josh Brooks reducing the deficit to 1.6 seconds. Here's Harry Hartley, number 50, racing against number 64, Aaron Zanotti, number 7, Barry Burrell, on the distinctive WD-40 bike. And
Barry Burrell hasn't cleared that Kawasaki road, and this is Hopkins coming in.
So Hopkins is retiring the Taiko Suzuki. Shaky Byrne at the moment has an advantage, or he did at the end of the last lap, of 1.6 seconds. As we watch Hartley, who is running in 18th. These are the 18th, 19th and 20th placed riders.
Yep, Hartley already the youngest man ever to score points in the big class at BSB at just 17, just turned 17.
A very level-headed lad, as was well exhibited when you spoke to him on the grid. Here's the battle at the front. Shaky Byrne, that gap has slightly reduced, but we are on the 15th of 18 laps, so there's only 3 laps left for Brooks to do anything about it. He set the fastest lap of the race. And they did say, Mick Shanley did say that they set their fastest lap during free practice on the 15th lap of a race run.
And again, that's a half a second quicker than Byrne. 36 flat for Byrne, 35.5. That's sneaking nearer to that.
All the time, by hundredths of a second.
And you know what?
His line across the top.
The thing is, Shane Byrne will know as well, because he will have had his lap signals from the lap before. However, I worry about Josh Brooks when it's this situation. This is, you just know how determined he is and how prepared. He'll see himself catching up to Shane Byrne and think, you know what, I have a chance of this. He never gives up. He never thinks he hasn't got a chance.
Josh Brooks then, arrowing in on Shaky Byrne. All we don't need now is for any back markers to come into play as they did at Branch Indy, because at least a bit of clear tarmac between Byrne and Brooks.
Yeah, but they'd both be thinking, back markers, please, because in front you'd be thinking, I get to him first, I'll make it out of that. Oh, look.
Shaky locking up again, was it, James?
It was. And if you're second, if you're in Brooks' position, you think, well, you know what, if he just hits a back marker wrong, I've got a chance. In fact, for me, I think Brooks will be wanting the back markers, because I don't think he's going to without the back markers.
But he is straight now. He's what Mick Shanley again was saying is he's, as long as he doesn't overstrain himself, as long as he doesn't push too hard, that's when he's going his quickest. And he's been having to rein himself in slightly. Well, it looks to be working at the moment on the Yamaha.
You can never ever write Brooks off, no matter what's happened. He can have trouble through practice. We've seen him here go off the 4th row and be pushing for the lead within 3 laps. I mean, fair enough, he did crash shortly afterwards, but
howling across the start and finish line then. Josh Brooks, 135.59. He took another few tenths of a second out of Shaky Byrne on that lap. Penultimate lap. He's going to run out of time, rather like he did at Brands Indy, really. It's just going to be a lap or two too short for him, perhaps.
I think so, because Shane Byrne has definitely got the signal to go.
And this is the accuracy with which these two guys are riding at these fearful speeds around here, James. I mean, they're averaging 100 miles an hour around here, averaging 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, and there's corners that are 40 miles an hour. So you add that up.
And they're running so close to those curves and those white lines.
That is the idea.
I know it is, but how...
You paid your entrance fee, and you can use as much road as what there is.
But it's the fact that they get it right. I think, can I go home
The accuracy. You're dead right.
When you're running with 210 brake horsepower and fearful speed, it's the accuracy that makes. Oh, Chianari stopped at Island Bend. Chianari is out after a brilliant ride on the build-based BMW. The former champion had reached 4th place, and he's out of the race.
There is a back marker. They're about to start the last lap.
Oh, it's Rolf Latourco in his Brazilian colours, the London-based Brazilian.
Oh, and this is just tantalising for Brooks. Is he going to be close enough? I don't think so, but he will think he is. And he'll just be thinking one slide, one running wide, one mistake from Shane Byrne, which he doesn't often make, I have to say.
Shaky looking steady, but under pressure. 135.4.
Another fastest lap. That is a lap record.
It's a new lap record. We've finally got a lap record broken. Keogh's 2006 mark has been blown away by Brooks. 135.411.
I don't want to watch this because the back marker Latourco is going to, or could, play a part in this.
The gap was 0.526 of a second as they crossed the line, but Rolf Latourco, bless him, exactly as he did at Brands Hatch, gets well out of the way of the same two dueling leaders.
Well, you would. You wouldn't want to look round and see them two coming, would you?
No, and Peter Baker didn't, but at least Rolf had the sense to. Now, look at this. The gap is still shrinking.
I just think it... Oh, this is so
Josh,
close.
Careful.
Oh, it's got to be Lodge. It has to be Lodge corner. If he's got a chance... He's got to do everything perfectly. He's not going to be close enough. Down into the...
Listen, I don't know what tyre Shaky's on, but they went for the harder compound on the Yamaha because they knew they'd be risking the longevity on the softer one.
They're both on the same. Everybody's on the same except for Walker, Linfoot, Smertz and Cooper.
Oh, look how Shaky has responded. How smooth was he through Knickerbrook? Look at the ground he picked up on the drive up the hill. So Shaky surely he got the gap that he needed, because this is the final drive to Lodge Corner. He needed to be close as they came over the crest of the hill if he was going to have any chance of outbreaking the Englishman.
He's going to be a lunge if it is. He's just not close enough.
As he comes through the Lodge Corner, down into Deer Leap. Shaky Byrne has the advantage on the Rapid Solicitors Kawasaki. And is it... Oh, it's close as they cross the line. Byrne takes it by 0.105 of a second after a brilliant first race here at Oulton Park. 3rd place for James Ellison. 4th for Tommy Bridewell, so a good day for the Milwaukee Yamahas. 5th is Easton, and here's the battle. Linfoot's got back ahead of Richard Cooper as they howl across the line on the Kawasaki side by side. It's Dan Linfoot who grabs an excellent 6th ahead of Richard Cooper. Westmoreland runs 8th. What a great late surge by him. This is Jessup versus Waters, Josh Waters on the Taiko Suzuki, just edge out, 13th across the line. Patrick Muff 14th. Ben Wilson gets a point for the Geerling Kawasaki team in 15th place. What a great result there for Paul Bird and his Rapid Solicitors Kawasaki team. And a terrific ride by Josh Brooks. James Ellison strong in second place until he ran on. But it's Shaky Byrne who takes the overall verdict. 18 laps. So Byrne, Brooks, Ellison, Bridewell, Easton, Linfoot, the top 6. Obviously some disappointment for that team. Gary Mason, former British Superbike racer, in there consoling Sean Muir. But I would think that Josh Brooks is rather encouraged by that race.
Oh, absolutely. You know, you can never, ever write him off. He just digs and digs. Sometimes that's a really disappointing Yuichi Kinari, and I'm disappointed for him.
He now realises how late in the race that was.
But you know, the lovely thing is, the bike's broken. He could be upset, but he's wheeled it up, and he leaned it against the tyres really carefully.
Yes. Well, he knows how much Stuart Hicken will be hurting from that. The MCE Insurance British Superbikes Championship in association with Pirelli. Shaky Byrne wins a cliffhanger first race at Oulton Park from Josh Brooks. James Ellison, and fairly isolated, comfortable third place for Ellison, who's just here to take as many points as he can while riding injured. Tommy Bridewell in fourth. Stuart Easton on the second Rapid Solicitors Kawasaki is fifth. And then after a terrific duel, Dan Linfoot gets the better of Richard Cooper in their battle for sixth. James Westmoreland brilliantly picks his way through on the build-based BMW from at the back to 8th place, ahead of John Kirkham and the Millsport Ducati of Jakob Smertz. 11th place for Michael Rutter's Batham's BMW. 12th place, Martin Jessup, just for RidersMotorcycles.com BMW, ahead of Taiko Suzuki's Australian Josh Waters. Patrick Muff from Switzerland on Batham's BMW points. Ben Wilson gets 1 for Geerling Kawasaki, ahead of Ian Hutchinson. And then that battle between Harry Hartley, Aaron Zanotti and Barry Burrell, with Jenny Tinmouth TWR Honda in 20th place. Shaky Byrne now has a clean 3 wins out of 3, 75 points in the 2014 British Championship Series, ahead of James Ellison on 48. Josh Brooks moves third on 40. Chris Walker is now joint fourth on 31 points with Stuart Easton. There are 2 points ahead of Tommy Bridewell. Dan Linfoot and James Westmoreland, who are often mistaken for brothers, are joint 7th ahead of Ben Wilson and Richard Cooper. 11th for John Hopkins, Taiko Suzuki, ahead of Yuichi Kianari and Jakob Smertz. Martin Jessup 14th ahead of Rutter, Kirkham, Muff, Josh Waters and Harry Hartley.
So the top 3 finish as they started, but that doesn't tell the whole story of a captivating race 1. We're going to take a quick break now, but we'll be speaking to all 3 podium finishers when we come.